all get in. We all are in the office. Like a lot of journalists work from home these days, but I think the political journalists, because you're kind of tied to Parliament Hill, we're pretty much always in the office.
Yeah.
And so we work a couple blocks south of Parliament Hill, and we're all pretty much in by around 9. At 9:30, we all get together for a meeting to just talk about what the stories might be.
Okay.
And I think the stories kind of fall into 2 different categories. So some are based on events. So if there's a politician who's having a news conference, or like today, there's an Ontario election has been launched. Like there's always like a series of things that are just happening.
Yeah.
And so we've got to divide that up and have people cover it. So there's that, and then there's also stories that we come up with on our own, and that's just based on like research, going through documents or doing interviews with people, and those are the more fun stories to do. Like those are stories that nobody else has, and you work on those. So we kind of divide it up at 9:30. Some people will cover what needs to be covered. Some people will be working on what we call it enterprise stories, like stories that we've come up with on our own.
Yeah.
And then there's another meeting at 10 with the rest of the newspaper, because the Globe is a national website, so there's people all over the country, so we just kind of coordinate there to make sure people are not stepping on each other's toes. Like right now there's all these stories about Trump and trade, and so there's tons of reporters that are kind of doing those kind of stories, and so you have to make sure we're not overlapping too much with that kind of stuff. And then so then you just go out. If you're covering a news conference, you go out and cover it. You get that person's quotes in. You go to the other parties, get their stories.
Yeah.
You might call some professors, put them in the story. You write it up. Try to get it done, ideally by about 4 or 5.
Yeah. Then
you file it, and then there's editors in Toronto that will go through it. So sometimes I'll go home. I may go home at 5:30 or 6, but the day's not done, because you go home, and then the editors will call you, and they'll make suggestions to your story, and you kind of work from home on fixing the story, and then you file it. And so it's probably like 3 or 4 days a week we would file a story. It just depends. Some reporters write long features, and they might write only once a week or once a month, and then I'm more among the group of reporters who will write almost every day.
Okay, I see.